So today your word of the day is sedition, and your journal that you're going to analyze today is learning is always rebellion. Every bit of new truth discovered is revolutionary to what was believed before. And that's from Margaret Lee Runbeck. So go ahead and take a moment and finish those up. Well, each day we begin with a word of the day. They have to give me the etymology of the word. They have to tell me if there's more than one way that it's used, how is it used in the way that we're thinking. So I get more than one definition sometimes.
It's archaic rebellious disorder.
Okay, archaic rebellious disorder. Taking that word, and Charles is talking about archaic, right? And then looking at the journal for today, which says that all learning is rebellion. What do you think?
I think it's rebellion because every time you learn something new, you're just proving what you thought was previously true. And so it's like an internal rebellion of your thoughts.
Internal rebellion. What do you think?
It makes me think of 1984 and
Okay.
like thought crime and how like people rebelled if they didn't act it out because you would die if you acted it out. They rebelled internally, like they did things behind the closet against Big Brother. So like
Yes. So all rebellion has to start where? On the inside, right? So if freedom is a mind state, slavery is a mind state, rebellion has to start with the individual. So Sydney, yesterday we talked about the Buddha statement about you have to be the path in order to become the path, right?
Also being open-minded.
Yes. Yes. How do you become rebellion if you don't have a rebellious nature? Where does that come from? Where those seeds come from rebellion? What do you think? So the students have been reading George Orwell's 1984. We are almost finished with the novel, so this is kind of on the tail end. They do a weekly blog each week. All right, so as you can see, we're sitting a little rebellious today, right? I rebelled from the way we normally sit in the discussion style. You see that you're sitting in stations today, all right? So let's talk about these stations. Those of you who have your laptop cards, go ahead and log on to our class blog, and you're going to go to the peanut gallery on the right-hand side. Those of you who don't, I have it up here on the screen for you, all right? So here's what we're doing. Today we're interrogating Winston's world. All right, so the tasks are on the blog, so when you get to your stations, just make sure you look at the task again, okay? So while at each of the stations, each group member will review the information first as an individual, and you'll write independently, okay? So jot down your initial thoughts, just like you always do. When you see sticky notes, you know what to do, right? Jot down your initial thoughts first, okay? Then as a group, before you leave, you'll have 20 minutes in each group, by the way, all right? So I'll put the online stopwatch up so you'll see how much time you have. Then as a group, you're going to have a discussion. What are the key findings in the station, okay? And so this quote is from one of my favorites, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it says, when a man is pushed, tormented, defeated, he has a chance to learn something, okay? So I want you to keep that in mind as you're traveling throughout your stations, all right? So station 1, you have the world of Orwell's 1984, okay? So you're going to look at pre-1984 publication, which is we know was published in 1949, so you're going to look at World War II, like what made Orwell think that this whole new world was possible, right? When he said you want a picture of the future, picture a boot stamping on a human face forever, right? How did he get there? Where did those thoughts come from? Those of you who have your Big Brother is watching paper, the person that's at the front has an envelope on the front of the desk. What does your envelope say?
Thought crime does not entail death. Thought crime is death.
Thought crime is death. All right? So open the envelope, take one, and pass it back. Don't get caught. I would say that maybe out of about 15 or 16 lessons, this probably would be 13, somewhere around there. So not totally at the end, but close.
As a child, like, all of these things are on her, but she has no idea, what they mean yet. And I know we always quote, like, that at that young age, you're so vulnerable and open that you believe anything, you're receptive to anything that you learn. And she has everything on her, like from fast food, beer, shoes, TV. Wow. Yeah.
I don't get why they have to pretend that they're trying to help the economy as a whole when all they want is to give the rich people who own the big corporations more tax breaks. I don't know, it just makes me kind of angry that they would try to hide what they're actually doing. They try to lie to the nation.
What makes me angry is Bowles, he was like, they are like a cancer. I'm like, who is he calling they? Like, is he talking poor people?
Good question.
Who is they? And he's like, they're gonna destroy the country from inside out. So what does he mean? It's like a they, us versus them attitude. They don't really care.
And so in Winston's world, who would that be? Who are those people, the cancer?
Oh, the pros.
The pros. 1984 and A Lesson Before Dying, and even the novel that comes at the end, which is going to be Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. All those are about systems. And I think it's important for them to understand as seniors, before they leave me, who am I in relation to these systems?
So if I have this knowledge and then I go out and look at other resources and find new knowledge, then what I just learned before, I have to change my mindset. And so if he bans if he bans us from using internet access and communication, how will we ever get outside knowledge? How will we learn to challenge the information that we've been given? We won't. We'll just learn. Yeah, we'll just learn to just take it, and just regurgitate it so we can pass the test.
So when you talk about systems, these things that are so pervasive in all of our lives, you're going to always be able to find those informational texts that go along with it. And so when we're teaching the novel, I think in terms of Common Core, and the way that I like to think of it in terms of my own classroom, is that we're doing an examination of society, and literature is just the artifact that we're using to examine that society or to examine that culture.
It says, the quote is, "Education is what remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in school," by Albert Einstein. And to go along with what you were saying, I was just saying, what is it that the paper is really saying when they say that you heard a discussion saying that they were cutting out public education? Is it saying that even though you're not in the same classes learning a systematic education, is it really telling us we want you to go out and get it your own? We want you to find out what's true? Because think about it. Yeah. In the public school system, it's a standard. You got to learn this, you got to learn this, you got to learn that. So with them saying we're cutting it out, is it totally bad, or is it bad because we're thinking like, oh shoot, what are we going to learn? Instead of saying that, okay, they're cutting it out. Now, what are the new findings that I'm going to find?
So for me, Common Core is just common sense. I think the biggest transition it will be is to give the students the access to the materials, but not always know what the end result is going to be. To kind of let go of that desire to always have the students regurgitate, or to even ask open-ended questions, but you already know the answer you want. It doesn't work like that. You have to kind of show them how to learn and then set them free. All right, so we're just going to go around the room. We're going to start with Group 1. Group 1, tell us what your first station was.
Our first station was a Prezi on, I guess you could say, propaganda and rhetoric. Most of it was visual. Actually, all of it was visual. The first image, if you want to bring it up, the first image was actually a baby with lots of advertisements on it. The baby was smiling and laughing. And it threw me for a second, because how can the parents let the baby be advertised like this? Like, we were thinking of it as a literal thing. How's a parent gonna let them put all these advertisements on the kid? But when we look like past the surface, at something beneath it, it was clear that the parents weren't really parents. They were facilitators. All these advertisements you see on the baby, those are the people that's raising it. They eat McDonald's, they read Sports Illustrated, they watch NBC, they use Sony technology. When they grow up, they're drinking beer, that light beer stuff. I don't know. But it's clear that what it's saying is that from an early age, who's really raising us? Is it the television, or is it our parents? Or are our parents influenced by the television to raise us the way that they were influenced? And so after that, one image after another is a constant, once our mind got working, it was like really crazy to see the next pictures. You can flip.
And just cute.
And like, we're not gonna look at all of them, but this is the very next one. And that one, these are all like World War II pictures, most of them anyway. Japan, Hitler, all that kind of stuff. What it was saying is that there were two kinds of wars going on during World War II, and that's what Orwell was talking about. There was a physical war where we're over in different countries fighting each other, but there was also a a silent war, as I like to call it, because you got two countries trying to impose their ideas on its citizens. Like, I guess I don't know where it came from, but there's this saying that when two elephants fight, only the grass suffers, because we're the grass. When they're not even in the physical sense, the silent war is the fact that they're taking their ideas and shoving them into our faces. Pick one, choose one. And if you pick this one, then you're not this one, and therefore we're against you. If you pick, there's no middle ground for anyone. And so whoever wins the war, that's what we're led to believe. That's the history is written by the winners.
Our group, it was claiming the personal as political, and the president had a lot of it had quotes from The Color Purple, A Lesson Before Dying, and The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. And as you were reading the quotes, I think the two that stuck out to me the most was one from The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and she was saying how as an Indian, you're forced to think you're poor, and you're going to be poor for the rest of your life. It's just like a never-ending cycle. You grow up poor, so you're going to be poor. And the other one was from The Color Purple, and she said, Alice Walker said that she remembers her one time her husband told her kids to get the belt, and the kids went outside and watched Still Crack as their dad beat the mom. We were talking about how the emotional appeal of it gets you like thinking like, I'm not Indian, and my mom was never beat, but when I read those stories, I was just like, wow. Like, and no, my parents if I did something, my parents wouldn't disown me, but for her, she had to like live through that, and her parents disowned her. Like, I think it says she was like 16, and it was just like a crazy thought to think what some people go through just because of it's not the normal.
Okay. All right. Chelsea and then Jamila.
I think all the quotes showed me how the use of emotional appeal is like very important to basically rhetoric is like a sense of persuasion. And so I haven't seen many movies or many stories where you see the movie from the bad guy's point of view. Like, they're not going to tell you from that point of view because you're not going to understand it. Like, we all know about the Holocaust. We all understand what happened. But when you read Anne Frank's diary, you get a more emotional appeal from you. You're like, wow, like, she really went through all of this, and she was our age, you know. And in the quote, when she talked about how she deserves to be poor, it went back to 1984 with the whole thought crime thing. It's kind of like she was raised to believe that she wasn't worth it. And it makes you feel like, well, I'm not like that, but you feel bad. Even though you've never experienced those things, you feel like, what if it was me? And if it was from the other person's point of view, if it was from the government's point of view, and that you wouldn't understand it, you would probably be like, you know, careless about the situation. And so I think the emotional appeal was basically what we all understood from the whole station.
Okay. Thank you.
We did the journal, and I found it interesting that they said on more than one occasion, like reminding us, Big Brother is watching us, which is like a reminder, like, you can't just write. You can't just write off of your emotions and say what you're thinking. So mine was they banned religion. So I couldn't just write how I really felt because I would have got caught. So I wrote, government overrules deadly inconveniences, simply looking over there enthusiastically. But if you look at the letter, the beginning letter of every word I wrote, it spells out God is love. Okay. And it shows how you can't just, if you're trying to change something, you have to know the rules of the society you're in. Because had I just wrote what I felt, I would have been persecuted for thought crime, and I would have been punished by death. And I can't change anything dead, so I had to live by the rules of our society while secretly putting what I really feel.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right. All right, so don't move yet. Don't move yet. Before you leave me, we did not have a chance to do the reflection, so what I want you to do tonight, you can either tweet me or you can put it inside the comments below on the blog page. But your final thoughts on when a man is pushed, tormented, defeated, he has a chance to learn something. All right? Thank you, and I love you.
Love you. That was good.